Now that Outbreak Perfected has been in the game for a bit, people have more of a sense of how it actually stands in the meta. If you asked me on day one of release, I would tell you that I rated Outbreak Perfected at 8 out of 10 solely because it offers something on controller that other pulses just don't, which is zero recoil control and insane aim assist. There was even talk in the first week of release that people wanted this thing nerfed because it was consistent. It's not, extra lethal compared to other pulse rifles, it's just very consistent. I think that's something that we should be striving for in the game, not asking for nerfs. However, I will say that after it's all been said and done, I actually prefer the other pulse rifles in the game, and I actually prefer Polaris Lance more than the pulse rifles right now, especially considering the Ace of Spades nerf and maybe other weapon changes coming in the Season of Opulence like the Not Forgotten nerf. While I do think the immense bullet magnetism is a bit extreme, as you can see from the background gameplay, I would say if it was going to get nerfed, tone that down just a little bit. It's an exotic weapon, and it seems like the theme Bungie might be going for with releasing all these catalysts in Season of Opulence is that they want exotics to be the top tier choice as well as offer something unique. I mean, look at the difference between Outbreak Prime and Graviton Lance, for instance. The Outbreak Prime is going to be pushing Ace of Spades distance, which is crazy, that's very low, but it's very, very consistent. Virtually no recoil, very, very good bullet magnetism, and then let's look at the Grav Lance. It has infinite range, moderate recoil, and pretty good aim assist. They essentially offer opposite jobs, opposite roles to fill. However, they do share one similarity, which is that although they maybe offer more range or more consistency, they don't offer more lethality. If a faster time to kill is something you're looking for, then look no further than the Redrix's broadsword, which is accessible to everybody. I can see how to most the Redrix's broadsword seems like an intimidating pulse rifle to use because you do need to land all the headshots, you do need to control recoil, and you do need to mind its range drop-off even if you have the max range variant. In my opinion, the advantages of Redrix's broadsword heavily outweigh the disadvantages, which is of course just controlling recoil and aiming slightly better. I feel like with enough practice you can absolutely master recoil control with these pulses, so don't be afraid. Just pull them out for an entire weekend, an entire week, and just see how you improve over the course of the week with these, and then check back with Outbreak Perfected and see if that's something you still want to use. Before Outbreak Perfected existed, a lot of people considered Bygones or maybe Go Figure or Blast Furnace as the consistency pulse rifle, but I'd actually argue that it's, again, a pulse rifle that prefers precision because with the right damage boosters, you are rewarded for two-tapping opponents. These very small damage boosters such as Empowering Rift, Inertia Override, High Impact Reserves, etc., these all add up to make sure that Bygones will kill in 2 bursts exactly, so you don't have to suffer a 3rd burst delay. Now, when talking about Blast Furnace or Go Figure, I prefer consistency perks on these because kill clip doesn't really do much for the gun in my opinion if you're already hitting precision shots, and as I've shown you, Redrix benefits from this, Bygones benefits from this, and now Nightshade benefits from this, so I would rather go all into consistency and range with the Go Figure and Blast Furnace and just, again, try my best to improve and aim slightly better. So I guess the picture I'm trying to paint here is that sometimes the easiest weapon to use is also the best, but this might not be the case with Outbreak Perfected because of how all the other pulse rifles reward just a little bit more effort. So I guess the ultimate question is, if I had to re-rate the Outbreak Perfected now that I've had a lot more time with it under my belt, what would I think it would be? I would actually say that I'd come to the same rating, but under different circumstances. So initially my rating was heavily weighted on the fact that this is a super consistent controller pulse rifle, and that it benefited from team play with multiple people using Outbreak Prime. Since it is in the kinetic slot, you can use the best shotgun in the game, the last man standing, with opening shot and 1-2 punch, which is, a huge boon for the overall loadout. That's where it got some of the points. And then also, it could sweet spot ace to where there are some distances where it will guarantee win. Also beneficial. So as I use Outbreak Perfected more, I realized that I just prefer using Ace because most of the maps seem to cater to it and it has every perk under the sun, but then we find out that Ace is going to get nerfed, so maybe it makes Outbreak Prime more appealing. However, I also found Lord of Wolves to be an extremely awesome option, so I would much rather just use something like Redrix's Broadsword in Lord of Wolves, or even go figure in Lord of Wolves, or map dependent, Nightshade in Lord of Wolves. The crazy thing though is Lord of Wolves is also getting a slight nerf, so Outbreak Perfected sort of retains those points that it otherwise would have lost on this re-review. But I still ended up deducting points for relative strength because after taking Polaris Lance for another spin, I realized that that gun does everything I want Outbreak Perfected to do, but just better. I also have to mention that Outbreak doesn't flinch people as much as other pulse rifles do, and that I have to remember the opportunity cost of the best shotgun in the game, and the fact that it's about to get a catalyst that makes the gun even better. So all of those points considered, it loses points in some categories, gains points in the other on this re-review, but ultimately ends back up at an 8 out of 10. This is, of course, just my opinion, and it's rooted in mostly PvP, but I don't think that the Outbreak Perfected is the end-all be-all pulse rifle of the Crucible like some people maybe say it is. You will see it a lot, but that's because I feel like it's easy to use, and if you consider yourself a fantastic player, I do believe in you. I think you can outplay it with other options. Also, don't roast me in the comment section because I totally forgot to mention fusion rifles. Yes, I do think they're competitive. Yes, there are fantastic fusion rifles out there. And because Outbreak is a kinetic, you have the option to use a fusion. So, more food for thought. I think it's a fantastic weapon, but I don't think it's a weapon that I'll be using frequently. Well, now that I laid the groundwork down for this Outbreak Prime re-review discussion type video, I think I'm gonna take Vigilance Wing for another spin and just see how it stacks up against everything else, all considerations taken into account again. I hope you enjoyed the video, and definitely don't hesitate to drop a comment telling me how you enjoy Outbreak Perfected, or if maybe there's another weapon that strikes your fancy even more.